I saw this exercise online and I promise it will work. So bear with me here. Close your eyes and think of a goal you've got. Maybe it's getting in great shape, maybe it's meeting a romantic partner or learning an instrument. Close your eyes and visualize how good you would look, how good it would feel to look at yourself and be proud of what you see. Imagine how they'd look at you in your eyes, how they'd hold you, and pay attention to that feeling. Even when I'm describing it to you, it feels good. I can feel the smile emerging from my face. Um, and I used to do this all the time, and in one way, it's visualizing things, which is a good thing. And in another capacity, I didn't realize why I was doing this, and I didn't realize why it was bad. This is an example that relates to me. So, whenever I used to have arguments or get into like altercations or whatever with my family or friends or whoever it may be, I used to get thoughts in the middle of the argument of things I wanted to say, but I was too nervous to say them. And then after the conversation, I would recount in my head all of the things which I should have said and how well it would have gone. And there was a level of satisfaction in that. And I know that you can relate to this. What I was missing is that, one, I'm not able to actually speak up for myself. So I was nervous. I wasn't tackling that. I wasn't tackling the fact that I had a conversation that went well. I wasn't tackling the fact that I was having to have conversations that were ending in conflict. I was just content to, yeah, be in the shower and think about all these things I should have said or would have said if I had courage. And I wasn't paying respect to the fact that I needed to work on myself a whole lot more before I would ever feel comfortable actually saying any of that stuff. You know, it's easy to after the fact just skip straight to the thing that you wish you would do. But the truth is that I was trapped by that. I was in frequently in situations where I felt like I couldn't be myself, I couldn't speak up, and it stayed like that for over 20 years. Nothing changed, and all I kept doing was having these imaginary conversations in my head, and then what type of life am I living there? This is what I had to ask myself. In reality, I needed to start addressing some of the issues of the fear, anxiety, concern, lack of confidence. And once that stuff was being dealt with, in that moment, in the conversation, and this happens to the day, it's still something I'm working on, I'm able to say what's in my head and I'm more comfortable with whatever the consequences are. It is what it is. Um, just in my situation, I can never get to that it is what it is phase when I was able to get the comfort of imagining that I had said this stuff. Um, it was crucial for me to stop doing that process, to be able to pay attention to the pain that was in me, to the hurt that was in me, to the negative emotions that were, in me. Um, so I could actually start tackling them and then get to the place where I wanted to be. So if it feels good and I like how I feel when I fantasize, what's the problem with it? Here's the thing. When you close your eyes and you sort of transport yourself to this goal and you're visualizing it and imagining it, you feel good. And the reason that's good is because it's an antidote. If you don't like where you're at, if you don't like the situation you're in, if you're not proud of the decisions you've made in that particular day or the decisions you've made in your whole life so far, and you feel bad, you get to just close your eyes, fantasize about this goal, and the decisions that you made get eradicated because you're really thinking about you'd have to make so many correct decisions in a row to finally get there. And you're kind of skipping past all of that and going to the end goal. Um, this causes a couple of issues. The first issue is that you're reinforcing the behavior of not taking action. When you give yourself that positive feeling and your body floods you with endorphins and you feel good, that behavior that you did, your brain's going to want that again. And your brain knows that it's a hell of a lot easier to just fantasize about the good things that you want as opposed to taking the kind of steps that will get there, especially when if it's a larger goal and you know there's going to have to be so many steps until you actually reach it. Your brain's like, there's a quick hack to this. I can just fantasize, put myself there, and then I get to feel good. Your brain doesn't always do what's best for you. It provides you, like, your brain will choose the easiest route. And you kind of have to be aware of this to start planning around it. Another reason why this is bad is because you're teleporting your mind away from the now and into the future. And the issue with that is that you're not going to be able to give the weight and the true respect to all of the obstacles that you have to overcome to get to your goal. You have loneliness, fear, boredom, fear of failure. This stuff has to be tackled in the now, and as soon as your brain ever leaves the now, you're less capable of actually paying those obstacles their full respect. Another issue is that you are subtly reinforcing the idea that the goal is better than the pursuit. Now, of course, I'm aware of all the reasons why the goal is better than the pursuit. However, it's already so hard to reach your goals as it is. You need to do everything that you can to try and give yourself as much evidence for the process being better. That is how you will actually be able to establish habits that let you reach your goal. Well, what does this practically mean? Well, what I started doing is just try to notice the fact that you're fantasizing, rather than me just thinking of all these things that I wish I had said. Try to notice that I am fantasizing about the stuff I wish I said, and I'm trying to move away from the now. And when you catch that, you're going to realize that in that moment, there's negative emotion. The negative emotions are fuel for the fantasies. So give yourself a little bit of compassion and try to, be kinder to yourself in that moment. Don't try and move away from the way you wish you would act. Try and sit with the place that you are at. What did you say, or how do you look in the now, or how do social interactions go when you actually try and partake in them? And just give yourself a little bit of space to appreciate the reality of the things that are happening. As you begin to do this, you're going to realize that, as I said, there was a lot of negative fuel driving these fantasies. What you then need to do, and what I've started doing, is take a mature approach to what do these feelings mean. In my instance, I was unhappy with how I was able to articulate my thoughts, how I was able to express myself in conversations. I wasn't happy with who I was. I wasn't happy with how I performed in these situations. So that's fuel then for me, and that's a signal for me that I need to start doing work to liken who I am and what I have to offer. If I'm not able to offer this perfect, James Bond smooth, perfect retort, what can I offer? And start spending some of my time focusing on that. And then you've already begun the journey of moving towards that place that you want to be. And as you embark on that journey, just trust that the more you begin to work on yourself and dealing with the issues you have in the now, and you're not running away from them into this future fantasy land, you will get better as a person. You will start to like your actions more. You will start to be more proud of what you have to offer. And that's how you actually make progress towards living in that fantasy, rather than having to fantasize about that fantasy, which is the place that I wanted to be. So what am I saying? Well, the first thing is to just notice the fantasy and realize that it exists because it's a solution to a negative emotion that you're feeling. The problem is that it's a short-term solution and it's going to keep you trapped. Then, when you notice it, pay attention to the emotions that you feel. Have compassion for the situation that you're in, and use that negative emotion as a signal that you need to work on yourself. That's your biggest compass. And lastly, I'd say it's a slower road. Of course, it's a slower road, but this is how I started becoming confident in myself. While I was still letting myself fantasize unchecked, I wasn't able to change my situation.